On today's episode, we take a look at Tom Gruenwald of HT Enterprises.
Tom is a world-class fisherman. He's ice fished all over the world. He's written several books on the subject, and he hosts his own show broadcast all over North America.
We're lucky enough to have HT Enterprises as one of our partners, and we've had the privilege of fishing with Tom Gruenwald for the last few years.
Now here's your chance to get to know Tom a little better. You're watching Fishing Saskatchewan, brought to you in part by The Fishing Hole. Get hooked at The Fishing Hole. North Sask Farm Equipment, Highway 16 North Battleford. Come see us for all your recreational and agricultural needs. And Alumacraft, built by fishermen for fishermen.
I love the outdoors. That's what it amounts to. You know, when you're a little boy and you grow up, you go outside and play in the sandbox or whatever, and all of a sudden you get to be 10 or 12 years old and, well, that's not what you're supposed to do anymore. But I love being outdoors, and I love being on the water. There's just something special about that.
Nice job. I got you to transducer. Take your time. Take your time. Got him yet? It's all right. There you go. You might be surprised what you got on there.
And then, of course, being able to share that experience with friends. And it's the same thing right up to today. Here we're fishing together out on the ice. It's that camaraderie, and it's the feeling of being outdoors, I think. I just love it, and that's what's special to me. That's really the heart of what ice fishing and what fishing means to me.
Got him. Fish on over here. It's hoping Ted just stuck one. Come up and nail it pretty hard. You see him on the sonar?
Yeah, he just came in and just hit it. I just paused it and he hit it.
There's a walleye. Yes, sir. You said you never caught a walleye through the ice?
Oh, no,
you never caught a big walleye.
So I wrote a couple of magazine articles, and eventually that led me to meeting Paul Gruenwald from HT Enterprises. And of course, eventually that led into an opportunity for full-time employment in the industry. So all came together. Well, Paul actually came out with the windlass tip-up and the polar tip-up. That was back in the 1970s already. And what the significance of that was really is that Paul recognized that there was an ice fishing market. Most ice fishing companies back at that time, they were limited geographically. You know, he had a company in Michigan, he had a company in Wisconsin, you know, maybe there's one in Toronto or wherever they might be. And there wasn't really a company that was marketing a product all the way across the entire ice fishing belt throughout the United States and Canada. He recognized that, and he came out with two products that were really way ahead of their time. I mean, the trip shaft on the polar tip-up with the multiple setting trip shaft and the adjustable tube and the lightweight and the V-shaped frame that wouldn't freeze down. The fact that the polar tip-up is completely freeze-proof. Nobody ever guaranteed a tip-up against freeze-up before that. And nobody has sense for that matter. So,
seeing I made this thing, I should really catch a fish.
It works, Paul, it works.
I think the significance of what Paul did was recognize the ice fishing industry. If you look at what it's growing into today, really all of us can look back and be thankful for the contributions that he made, because he's the one that's really the pioneer that got this whole thing started.
Same thing as that
Well,
last
hold
fish
on.
then. You want to get him?
Well, try.
Hey, look at that. There we go. Here we are. We've got Paul, who invented the polar tip-up, able to actually get out here and show us how it works. And that's a beautiful pike, Paul.
I was at in Fisherman's Camp Fish. I worked there while I was in college as a guide and a fishing instructor. And it was kind of ironic because Paul actually began his business about 20 miles from where I grew up, so I'd seen newspaper articles and things about him, but I'd never met him. So here I was up in Walker, Minnesota at Camp Fish, and I actually stopped. I met his wife first. I had no idea that it was Paul's wife. We just got talking during one of our jamborees there, and she went back and told Paul about me and said, hey, there's this kid here You know, he really wants to work in the industry. I think you should really go talk to him. In the meantime, I was running around going, where's Mr. Grawl? Because I'd love to meet this guy, because you know, he's running this fishing tackle company, and ice fishing in particular is so close to where I grew up. And we managed to hook up and get talking in Fisherman's Camp Fish. And 2 weeks later, he called me and asked me for an interview, and boom. I started on Monday the following week.
Okay, tell me, audio check, 1, 2. Good. Audio check. Yep. Cool.
I think that might be a burbot. No, a nice walleye.
Nice.
Got him. Yeah, boy, Neil.
Nice.
Here.
Hey, I just want to give you a little tip. You know, we're out here and we're fishing for some pretty big walleyes, but we are using lighter lines. We tend to feel that we're going to get more bites by doing so. So we're running 4-pound, 6-pound lines. It's really, really critical. Make sure you take the time to set your drag and set it properly. Get a good quality reel like this Polar Fire. Make sure that it's set tight enough that you can get a good hook set, but yet loose enough that that drag will give. If you get a big trophy walleye and it does make a hard run, you'll be able to get that without risking breaking your line. So make sure, good reel with a good drag system, and take the time to set it right. Makes a difference.
HT is the long-standing, time-proven leader in tip-up innovation, and the innovations continue with HT's revolutionary new Polar Thunder tip-up. The Polar Thunder features a compact, easy-to-transport and store frame, large-capacity 500-foot spool, glow-in-the-dark trip shaft, and most importantly, the adjustable flag wire system allows you to create increased trip tension when fishing big baits for big fish, or decreased tension when fishing small ones for fussy light biters.
Nothing beats ice fishing. Nothing!
You don't need to have a fancy boat to be able to access prime spots on the lake. You can go out and you can fish all of a sudden in 30 feet of water or out on that mid-lake reef that you maybe couldn't reach during the summertime where I'd be fishing from shore. And I think that was a primary draw. But again, back to that love of the outdoors, there's something special about wintertime, just the quiet and the silence out there and the peacefulness of ice fishing. And then there's something too that's special. It's just like watching a bobber go down. It's such a unique experience, but to sit there and watch a fish come up out of that hole, you know, it's just almost magical. Walking on water, I always like to say. I think that's a big part of the draw to ice fishing.
All right, perfect. It's not a big one, but it's the right species finally. You know, I just caught a Cisco a minute ago. Took that off, kind of rebaited, dropped down, missed a fish. I don't know, it could have been a Cisco, maybe it was one of these. Finally the right species, it's a small walleye. But the sun is finally starting to drop down now. It's getting in toward mid-afternoon. And typically, obviously with the walleyes being more of an evening biter, as that afternoon wears on, things start to get better. Not a big fish, but it is the right species. I'm starting to see fish moving, and now I'm getting excited. We'll let this one grow. Another little walleye. Okay. Well, it's starting to happen. It really is. You know, it gets exciting when you start feeling those.
Yeah.
Those hits, and they start seeing them coming in a little more aggressively and hitting on it instead of just following.
Well, we kind of anticipated this is going to be the time of day where things were really going to start to happen, and you know, things are picking up. So.
You bet. Yeah, and these would be nice if we were after just some nice eaters. There's nothing wrong with jigging up these, but we know that Last Mountain holds some really big trophies, so we'll let this one go. Hold out for the bigger fish. Hopefully it's a nicer walleye. It's a bigger fish for sure. Yep. There's a nicer red mark, and he came up and really slammed it. Yeah, it was a better fish. He's on Ed's bait, came down. Yeah, it's a walleye. It's not a huge fish, but it's a nicer walleye. Get his head turned here. There we go. There we go. Again, sun's just starting to drop down a little bit more. Working on the bottom, finesse fishing. A while Ed's working the other one more aggressively. And a fish came in, it was attracted to his bait, it was chasing him. As it started to come down, it got toward my finesse bait, and I just started to work it a little bit, and he picked it right up off the bottom. A little bigger fish, that helps out. Now we'll just see if we let this one go and see if we can get one of those really big fish. But just look how nicely conditioned these fish are. It's a beautiful fish, but we're gonna let this one go and try for an even bigger one yet. I always like to just give them a minute there, let them go. That's what we're looking for. Hey, we're in Saskatchewan, and I can't think of a better person to get out and do a little ice fishing with than Neil Hughes, number 32, Saskatchewan Rough Riders, Grey Cup winners. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
It is. It's awesome getting you out here on the ice, too.
Oh, this is awesome. This is a dream come true for me, too. It's pretty cool to be out here fishing with all these guys. And, you know, I've seen your TV show. I got a PVR, and it's something I like to watch, too, when I got some time. So it's pretty cool to be able to you know, be out here fishing with you guys. Well,
it's awesome, and right after the big championship too.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. And you're playing around a little bit in addition to jigging, trying the ice rigger out.
Yeah, well, I had this out a couple of years ago with my daughter, and she actually caught her first little fish on here. But great. I'm not sure if I know exactly how to use it properly.
Sure. Well, it's pretty simple. The idea is basically you got a combination of a jigging system and a tip up. All right. So the rod, just put the butt inside of the rod holder right here. And then your line comes down into this little trip right here. The flag's underneath it. And the best thing to do is you want to try to get a decent angle on these. So you don't want to come off, a lot of people try coming off the rod tip and go down. Yep. You actually want to come more off here or here, someplace where it's, when the fish does bite, it's going to come off easier. But the line just clips in here right between the trip. And as soon as the fish bites, it's going to pull the line back up toward the reel, and that flips the flag up. And had an opportunity to, just like Paul, to share knowledge and introduce new concepts and kind of on the ground level, something that hadn't been done before. And I've tried to continue that yet today. And of course, you walk around, I just got back from the St. Paul Ice Show in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I was talking to some of the other you know, companies and other people that are there, and we're looking around and just cannot believe how far the ice fishing industry has come. And you know, we started doing this and writing those books back in the mid-1990s. I predicted it was going to grow. It was going to be a pretty big thing, but it's even surprised me just how far it's come. It's amazing, and it's fun to be a part of that. It's not just me. I've had a lot of help. You have to have a network of people. When you're trying to work regionally in all these different areas and put it all together, it's people like both of you here in Saskatchewan that have allowed me the opportunity to come and learn more about lake trout and trophy pike and trophy walleyes. And I've got more friends and connections throughout the entire ice fishing belt. And Tom Gruenwald Outdoors has allowed me to bring that together. And again, it comes back to the fun of the outdoors, the adventure of going to different places, trying something new and meeting new people. And it's fabulous. It's been a fantastic experience, and there's a lot of material out there to cover, and I'm anxious to continue. Hopefully we'll have a lot of seasons ahead of us.
Fishing Saskatchewan, brought to you in part by The Fishing Hole. Get hooked at The Fishing Hole. North Sask Farm Equipment, Highway 16 North Battleford. Come see us for all your recreational and agricultural needs. And Alumacraft, built by fishermen for fishermen.
Tobin Ted's hot tip of the day. When approaching a hole like this and you have a strong sun, always come up from the side so you're not leaving a shadow over your hole. Anything as subtle as that can sometimes spook the fish. So make sure and approach from the side opposite of the sun, and you'll catch more fish, just like Tobin Ted.
And get a suntan.